Hi guys, so thank you for clicking on this video. It's Lucy Chambers, and I think today I'm gonna do just another tutorial. And just a note on that, I feel like there's not a lot of tutorials, makeup tutorials on YouTube anymore. I feel like when I first started watching YouTube, like 6-7 years ago, I was just overflowed with makeup tutorials, and it was so awesome, and I learned so much. But now I feel like it's mostly product reviews and sponsorships and collections and things like that. And I'm not saying that that's bad, because I watch them, I enjoy them. But this channel is really a tutorial channel. At least now this channel is a tutorial channel, and that's what I want to create. That's what I want to see. And hopefully there's enough people out there that want to see makeup tutorials as well. So I am going to start resolutions this year. I kind of have been decluttering my makeup collection. I have been decluttering my house. Not that it was that cluttered, because I've only lived here for a few years, but I just feel like there's always stuff, and it just feels so good to just get rid of what you're not using. Either you give it away, or if it's no good, you can throw it away. But usually there's people that will appreciate, you know, your unused furniture or clothing. And then same with your makeup collection. Like, I have a couple of friends that I'll give things to if they haven't been used, or if it's something that I've had and I don't want to use it and I don't think anybody else does, I'll just throw it away. So I feel like now my collection, what's in my kit, what's in my personal collection, I feel like it's all A+ stuff that I absolutely love. And if I find out that I don't love it, it's not going to stick around. And it just makes me feel so, it's just like the opposite of anxious, like really serene and zen. So having said that, we're gonna get into the tutorial, and I think I'm just gonna recreate a look that I did the other day. Something that looks pretty good on me, I think, is just like a classic brown smoky eye. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is start with all my clean brushes. These are my favorite brushes that I'm gonna use. I probably won't use them all, but I'm the kind of person, I wash my brushes every single time I do my makeup. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, certainly when I'm doing clients' makeup, I always have clean brushes, because you can't use dirty brushes on a client. But even myself, like, I can't, from one day to the next, I do something totally different. Like, one day maybe purple or blue, and one day maybe brown. And these are brushes that I love, so I want to use them every day. So I find that that is just like the best way to start. If I don't have clean brushes, Mom, I can't really do anything.
To watch your phone.
Oh, thank you so much for giving that back to me. Good for you. First thing I'm going to do is start with my eyes, and I'm going to take MAC Paint Pot in Layin Low. And if you're fair like me, this is just a little bit darker than Painterly, which is what a lot of fair-skinned people use. But I like this if I know I'm going to put a little bit of color all over my eyelid, because it kind of gives me a little bit of a head start, and just sort of cancels out any kind of coloring or anything like that. And I always use a finger. Some makeup artists will like to use a brush to spread it on, but I like my ring finger. I just find that it smooths it just the right way, and then I can go from there with the eyeshadow. And these dry really quickly, so by the time you've smoothed it out and you've capped it, which you always want to do because these are cream products and they will dry out. The other thing is I store them like this. A, so I can see what color it is. I can see the color in the name. But B, because this is going to keep it from drying out. They will dry out eventually, but this will prolong it. And if you use it every day, you'll probably get through it. There's a ton of product in there though, so you will probably be able to enjoy it for a long time. So I think today I am gonna go into, these are just some like neutral colors that I have in a palette, just colors that I might draw from, and I am going to start with this one. This is called Orb, and this is a matte color, but as you can see, it's just about skin tone, and I'm going to put that all over my eyelid just to kind of set everything. So it's going to put that paint pot in place, but it doesn't have a ton of color. It's not as light, for example, as the one above it, which I believe this is Blank Type. That would sort of like white out the color, but Orb is sheer enough that I find that it keeps Layin Low sort of like its true color. And then I'm being really fluffy. This is actually a new brush that I got. It's by Tom Ford, but it's just basically a fluffy blending brush, and it's kind of like the MAC 244. It's just a little bit denser. But anything fluffy and preferably round, I like for this purpose. And then I'm gonna go in with something similar brush-wise, but it's a little bit smaller, and we're gonna start to build up some color onto the lid. So I'm gonna go into MAC Wedge, which is a little bit darker, not super dark, but sort of like a 1 or 2 shades darker than my skin tone. If your skin is darker, then you would just kind of amp it up and you would go 1 or 2 shades darker than your skin tone. So when you're shopping for your eye makeup, you just kind of keep your own skin tone in the back of your mind, because if you're darker skin toned and you're using these colors that would be suitable for me for a brown smoky eye, it's gonna look maybe a little ashy and a little off. Anyhow, so we're gonna take a little bit of this and we're gonna put this kind of up to the crease. And I love a brown smoky eye, like in the morning when I'm in a rush, but like I wanna look done. Kind of always wanna look done. But this is one that, like, you know, you could be a little hyped up on caffeine, which is usually how I'm doing my makeup. So like it might not be, the morning might not be the best time for me to do like a really perfect black liner, because I'm probably rushing and I'm probably taking breaks and getting my kids like cereal or whatever. Ideally, I'm doing my makeup when nobody is up. I like to get up really early, like sometimes like 4:30 or 5, which sounds crazy, but I also go to bed really early, and I like to get up and kind of get all ready and all done so that by the time my kids get up, I am just focusing on getting them ready and I'm already taken care of. And I have time to like have some coffee and, you know, all that stuff. I think if you're a mom or if you live in a house with other people in general, you can probably identify with that. But as long as you can get yourself to bed early enough, I find it is just what it does for my day and my mood, like it's just amazing. So really easy, I'm just kind of building this up. I'm probably doing a little more because I'm talking through right now. But now you're kind of just starting to get a little bit of color on the lid. I feel like the lights in front of me sort of wash me out and make me look paler, but you're starting to get a little bit of brown. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is take a brown eyeliner, and we're gonna go in with, I have a few that I kind of keep around. This one is Urban Decay Whisky. I like it a lot. It's not my favorite. I find that it's really similar to MAC Costa Riche, which I also love. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of this right on the lash line, and what I'm gonna do is be kind of messy with it, because I'm gonna smudge it and then I'm gonna put some shadow over it to really smoke it out. So I'm just gonna come in, let me get you even closer if I can. But what I do like about this pencil, and what I suggest doing if you're gonna be smudging it, is getting something that's like really kind of creamy and easy to just throw on. And it doesn't even matter the shape so much, you're just kind of getting it about 1/3 of the way up the lid. And then I like to kind of get it between the lash line so it's really, really inky down to where the roots of the lashes are. Now what you're gonna wanna do is take like a shader brush like this. This is a MAC 239. And then I'm just gonna kind of literally mess it up and smooth it out, because I don't want this to be set. I'm gonna kind of basically just smudge it up to where my natural crease is. And again, it does not have to be perfect because we're gonna be putting eyeshadow over it. And if you need to do that a couple of times, almost do a couple of layers to get it where you want it, totally fine. Now we're gonna take a brush that I can place color on. This is kind of like a MAC 217. This is a Smith 247, by the way. And sorry if I keep getting out of focus. I'm gonna go in with another shade. This is a really warm brown that MAC makes called Saddle. And I use a lot of MAC because I just happen to absolutely love MAC, and it's like, I used to work for them, I know the line, it's like products that I'm really comfortable with. I'm kind of old school like that. When I got into makeup, MAC was just like, MAC was MAC. It was like, you know, so that's why I use so much MAC. It's what I have, it's what I use. But nowadays, there's so many makeup companies, so as long as you're using colors that you like, that work for you, it doesn't matter the brand. Even at the drugstore now, there's so many good products. And there's also so many good sort of like indie brands now that I'm learning about through YouTube that I didn't even know about. This makeup is such a big business. I feel like a lot of people are getting into it, and because of that, the standards are just so high. Clients are really, or customers are really picky, and they really know their stuff, and you can't really sell them crappy products without them realizing, you know, like they're gonna check for pigmentation and blendability and wear time and all that stuff. So no big deal. We've just got like a nice smoky brown eye. And this is why I'm going to do my foundation next, because if anything kind of mushes down or drops down, is what I want to say, I can clean it up. This would normally take about 60 seconds, but because I'm talking through it, it's taking way longer. And I'm just going to keep playing, adding a little more saddle. And then I'm taking saddle, as you can see, over my natural crease. And that's probably about as high as I'm going to go, because I have pretty big lid space, and my crease is very defined naturally. You can even see on this eye, so I'm not really trying to push the crease back any further, because on me it just makes my eyes look like they're more deep set, or it can age me. So really you're just kind of playing with what you have, and for me I'm trying to lift up into here so my eye doesn't look as deep set, like I'm bringing the shadow up here so it almost lifts my crease higher. And then we're going to go back into that fluffy brush that we started with, and we'll go back to the original color Wedge, which I'll just show you again which one I'm talking about. This one here. And I'm going to go over, and so this is just going to make everything look really blended and fluffy and really like, whew, like blown out. Okay, so while we're here, I want to bump it up and make it look a little more interesting. The colors I've used, they're kind of more on the orangey brown side, so I'm going to bring a little more red, a little more purple into it by going into this Patrick Starrr palette. I'm going to go into this Patrick Starrr palette. Now this color is called I'm Into It. I actually have it as a single in another palette, but I love that he chose this because I think it is such a beautiful color. I think that it's relatively new, and it's kind of like this warm purpley, kind of like Sketch, if Sketch were deeper and more pigmented. I feel like they really nailed it. So that's like a swatch, as you can see, and then that's what's left with the second swatch. So you can see it's very, very pigmented, which I love. And I want to get this down right at the root of the lashes because that's where I want it to be the darkest. So I'm just going to pick a little bit up on this MAC 239 that I used to smudge out the eyeliner. And then I am just going to place this right at the roots of the lashes. So that's where most of my color goes. And I'm just kind of letting it diffuse upwards. And as you can see, now I've got more of like a purple hue, and that's really what I wanted, because I find with my skin tone, my eye color, these warm browns, sometimes, like unless I have a tan, they're not that great, but they work great for transitions. And now I just blend everything together. And I feel like the goal with the brown smoky eye is that, like, if somebody sees me, I want them to think I was just like, boom, fluff, 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 and I'm done. Meanwhile, there's like all these steps to make it look smooth and blown out, but it almost looks a little more effortless. I mean, it is effortless because all I've done is like a little bit of swirling, but I don't want to look fussy today. It's like a little more badass if you look like you didn't fuss over your makeup for like half an hour, 30 minutes just on the eyes. So I'm going to stop right about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye. And what I'll do is I'll put that in fast forward so we can review the steps, but you don't need to see them as slowly. We'll just kind of do it a little faster. Now, all right, so now it looks totally messy, but it's okay. It's gonna get better. So we're just gonna kind of clean up And I'll finish the under eyes after I do the rest of my face so that we can kind of take care of all that. Now I'm not going for a sharp line, but that's all gonna be cleaned up in a second. So let me just zoom you out. So let's see, what are we gonna do today? Let's do, I feel like I have to always get my hair out of the way. I am really into MAC Studio Sculpt right now, so I think that's what we're gonna use. And I've already moisturized, but I feel like an extra layer could be a good thing. So I'm actually gonna use this Wrinkle Warrior 2-in-1 Plumping Moisturizer and Serum. So I think that'll be good. This is Kate Somerville, I believe. Yeah, I mean, I've used some of her products. I think they're kind of pricey, and are they really that great? I don't know. I have a moisturizer by her. I thought it was like as good as like Trader Joe's or something. Like seriously, I was like, I get better beauty products at Trader Joe's than this. Like, I'm not trying to diss. I'm just saying, like, why is this a $65 moisturizer? Can somebody explain? Anyway, yeah, this serum, it's okay. It smells a little chemically, which is kind of weird. So I don't know, I'm not a huge fan, but maybe I just haven't tried enough of her products to really get a good idea if it's for me or not. But so far, I'm not that impressed. Then I'm gonna take this MAC Studio Sculpt, and I'm gonna put, I really like this in the winter. In the summer, it's just, it doesn't like set enough for me, but in the winter it's good because it doesn't set too hard. It's sort of like a gel kind of creamy texture. So for me, it's perfect in the winter. I feel like I have to get my hair out of the way. It's like totally annoying me. And then I really like using this flat buffing brush. This is a Delium Tools 1957. MAC, they say the dual fiber brushes are the best because they sort of like airbrush it, but I actually prefer this one. I'm just gonna put this all over, and this is a pretty good match for me color-wise. This is NW20, and in this formula, it is my match. Like in Studio Fix Fluid, NW20 looks pink on me. It just is not the right color at all, but in Studio Sculpt, it's perfect. So if you are switching formulas and you're like dead on for a certain color at MAC, you should still get matched, because I find that with the different foundations that they do, and they do a lot, you may be like, I'm a C 3.5 mixed with an NC20 in Studio Sculpt. That's my perfect match. Whereas NW20 in Studio Sculpt is perfect. Did I say Studio Sculpt or Studio Fix? Anyway, Studio Sculpt, the one I'm using now, is NW20. Others, not necessarily. So I'm just gonna kind of buff that in. I don't want it too heavy because I kind of want my skin to be like effortless, just look like evened out and good. So I used, you know, just like one little sort of dime size little squidgy out of the tube. And I always bring it down here because, you know, you don't want to stop here because then it's a dead giveaway. Also, when you're doing your foundation, if you start at the center of your face, A, it's where you need the most coverage usually, but B, by the time it gets to your hairline, jawline, ears, it will have diffused a little bit more, and then it'll blend into the edges. If your ears are going to be showing, you can even take the foundation on your ears. Like if you're going to an event and you're doing an updo, or even if you're just doing a ponytail, definitely don't be afraid to take it all the way onto your ears. Okay, now, I gotta get my hair out of the way. Okay, all right, now my hair's up, and while my foundation's kind of setting a little bit, I'm just gonna go in and just kind of blend the eyeshadow a little bit where I feel like I might need a little more smoothness. And then I'm gonna go in with a little concealer, and today I'm gonna use my NARS in Creme Brulee. And I'm just gonna do a little bit. My under eye circles are not so bad. So just a little brightening here. And sometimes I'll even go on top with a little bit of vanilla, which is the next lightest shade, I believe. It's definitely lighter than Creme Brulee, but I think that that's actually enough. And I like a ring finger to blend that in just under the eyes. And then I'm just kind of blending it out over where my natural contour is, so you get a little natural highlight without having to put extra product on there. And then just kind of making sure you're pressing it into all the lines, wherever you might need it. Now I feel like a little makeup-y, so what I like to do if I find myself in that predicament is I take a beauty blender and I'm just gonna hop away and I'm going to wet it, and then I'm just gonna press it into my skin, and it kind of like presses the makeup into your skin, and then it makes you feel a little less makeup-y. Now, if you want to be like really flawless, I probably wouldn't do that because you'll remove a little bit of excess makeup, and in an hour or so, my skin will start to absorb and, you know, produce oils, and it won't feel so makeup-y, but I'm going to do that right away. I'm not buff, kind of just like bounce it on my face, and the slight moisture to it will sort of like mix with the skin and the foundation, and I find it just sort of like very, very slightly makes you feel like you're wearing a little bit less. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to set everything. I'm going to use that same beauty blender, and then I'm using the Patrick Starrr setting powder by MAC. I really, really love this. Everybody raves about Laura Mercier setting powder, which it's good. I never thought it was as good as I wanted to think it was. Like, I wanted to love it, but I was like, eh. This one I absolutely love. It is so fine. It does not settle into your wrinkles or your fine lines, which even, you know, girls in their 20s have. It's not just like older people. So I'm gonna kind of press that under the eyes. So that way when I finish doing the eye makeup, we can kind of just press it away. And then I'm gonna take a brush and I'm just gonna tap a little bit, and I'm just gonna kind of tap this over the center of the face. And then whatever's left, oh, that brush is not very soft. This Layin Tools one, yeah, not very soft, but this is a Tom Ford one, very soft and very fabulous. So I'm just gonna kind of buff it over, and then whatever's kind of been left will sweep over the rest of the face. And now my makeup is set, and I'm ready to move on. Yeah, I absolutely love this powder, like A+, really, really good job. Really good job on this powder. So these lights are kind of washing me out. I promise you I'm not that washed out in real life, but I do want to put a little bit of color back into my face. So I'm actually going to use this IT Cosmetics Celebration Foundation as my bronzer. It doesn't look much like a bronzer. It's not technically a bronzer, but it is dark enough for me, and especially in the winter, that it just gives me a little bit of color where I don't want to look too fake. Like, I don't want to have that like orange line down. And I kind of use it as a bronzer, and I kind of use it as a little bit of like contour. Like I always say in my videos, I don't do a lot of contouring on myself because I'm, you know, I'm not 22, and I have pretty much like deep lines here anyway that just kind of happen with age and that sort of thing. So just a little bit of color, and then you know what we'll take, because this is a YouTube video, I'll take a little bit of this one. You can tell this is the coolest of the three in the Kat Von D contour or Shade and Light contour palette. So I'm just going to take the narrow edge of this brush. I'm kind of pressing it, and I'm just going to give myself a little more chisel, ever so slightly, on the back of the cheekbones. And I'll kind of blend whatever is left up and make me look like I've got a little sun kiss, right? All right, so now we need a little blush. And right, Izzy is?
Where is my phone?
I don't have it, Riri. I'm gonna take this blush. This is MAC Warm Soul. It's like everyday, my everyday fave.
You have it. Can I please watch it?
Okay, bring it to Daddy.
No, I want it. I want you.
Okay. Here you go. No. Here you go. Put your So I find this blush, it just kind of works like for almost any look. It's just like a little warm. It's mostly peachy, but it's got a little pink in it, and it's a mineralized one. I just feel like it buffs over the skin so nicely. And it gives you a little bit of a shimmer, so I'm not even gonna go in with like a highlight, like just not gonna do it. All right, so you know what I totally forgot to do? My brows. No wonder I look so weird. I gotta do my brows. So I'm actually mixing two brow products. I was on this Dior show brow styler forever, and now, I don't know, I feel like we're kind of breaking up, so I'm starting to use this MAC one again. This is the Veluxe brow pencil, something like that. And this is in deep dark brunette. I guess I am a deep dark brunette in my hair color, so this kind of brings my brows back up to catch up with my hair. What I'll do is I'll put the color down from the MAC pencil because I find it's just softer and it deposits color really easily. And then I'll kind of comb it through, and then I'll take the brow styler by Dior, and you can see if you look at the difference in the pencils, this MAC one is like kind of thick. It's like a thick soft pencil, and then the Dior show one is like microfine, and you can see I can make like more hair-like flicking motions. And so I just combine kind of these two to get the best of both worlds, to get the most natural yet defined brow. And that's kind of what I'm working with these days. My brows, like I know in the past I've seen when I do them, sometimes they're either overdone or underdone. So it's like for me, just hitting that perfect balance has been sort of this elusive sort of goal. But I feel like I might finally be hitting my stride, and I'm just gonna kind of leave it like that, and we'll go ahead and do the other side. If you ever feel like you've overdone it, just take a spoolie and just kind of like comb it out, and it'll kind of bring you back. Okay, so I think we're pretty much good on the upper lid, all that jazz. What I am gonna do is take a clean brush and just get a little bit of that first color that I used on the lid called Orb. And I'm just gonna take a little orb and I'm gonna go under the brow bone. And you'll also find that that'll kind of like, if you've done the shadow up here and then you feel like, oh, this just kind of like it just kind of ends, you take this and it just like smooths the edges really nicely and evenly. And then if you have a deeper set eye, after you've done your makeup, make sure you go back and kind of tilt your head back so you get into that crease so you haven't like forgotten any dead space. Okay, so now let's take that same eyeliner that we used. This is the Urban Decay Whisky. And I'm going to go just along the lower lash line, like really lightly, just kind of like feather it over. And maybe I'm gonna get into the waterline. I'm gonna go ahead and do this on both sides. Not a lot of product, because I don't want it to look too heavy. And then I'm gonna take that same shader brush that I used, whatever is left on it, I'm just gonna kind of gently load it along. On me, because I'm fair, I think that's the reason, if I do like black, on my, especially on my lower lash line, it looks really, really harsh. Whereas other people I think can just like pull it off. I always need to err on the side of lighter, and then it can still look pretty like, whoa. So I always kind of like dumb it down a notch or 3. And then I'm just gonna make sure everything's really blown out. What I like about a smoky eye is that you don't have to be too precise. When I take a brush like this, I might just brush off the, you know, the excess powder, and then I could go even into that bronzer that I used, and then I can just kind of like go around the whole eye, which seems kind of crazy, but it just kind of makes everything look really smoky. Keep in mind I haven't done mascara yet, so that'll kind of pull everything together. Okay, so all I'm gonna do today for my lashes is mascara. because I don't really have time. I never put fake lashes on myself. I'm not very good at putting them on myself. I'm just don't have the time or the patience to do it. On clients, I pretty much always, but it's way easier to put them on other people. I guess it's just whatever you're used to. So I'm gonna give my lashes a really good curl. And then this part I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on because I'm fairly sure everybody knows how to put mascara on by now. But I do like to start with a lash primer because I find it really, really bumps up the volume. So I just use this Voluminous base by L'Oreal, and I just get that on. I feel like it works in a couple of ways, but one of the ways is that it sort of like pre-combs your lashes out. So you don't have the first couple strokes of mascara, I feel like you're kind of just like combing them out and like untangling them or whatever and just like finding the length. But I've been really happy with this, and I'm not sure, but I feel like it's making my lashes longer. Like it almost has some like properties that those like lash serums have, because my lashes have gotten thicker and longer. Like not crazy, but a little bit anyway. That's one of the reasons I also don't wear fake lashes, is because I swear, like they take out some of my own lashes, and it takes me a couple weeks to feel like my lashes are back. Even if I don't see the lashes like on the band when I take them off. It's so weird. But I just feel like my lashes are healthier when I just do mascara. Lashes done. Oh, it makes such a difference. It sort of just does something for the smokiness that you can't do with eyeshadow alone and eyeliner alone. Okay, so let's just finish up the lips real quick. We are gonna do a little bit of Whirl liner all over the lips, which is like a pinky brown. It's if you like spice, but you want a little more dusty rose in it, like a little bit more. A little less nutmeg, a little more rose. I'm gonna do a little bit of this Liptensity smoked almond. It's like such a standard color for me. I think that works. These are like 99% of my lipsticks that I use on myself are something like this, but I just really like it. Now I feel like it might be a little bit too harsh, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this lip gloss. This is Ample Pink, which they actually don't make anymore, but I have another one that's just like it that the girl at MAC told me. So if you say you want Ample Pink, but you know they don't make it anymore, if the store doesn't have any left, they'll give you a dupe, because MAC has 1,000 dupes for their own products. Yeah, I think that's better. What I also think is gonna make this look better is if I take my hair down. It never hurts to kind of like go back with a clean brush and just kind of re-smooth and just make sure everything is smooth as possible, because I always find like what separates like okay makeup from like really good makeup is the smoothness of the landing. So when you have like colors that just kind of like stop like, it's like, okay. But if it looks like it was just kind of like, that's really what makes me happy when I see that kind of makeup. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you liked the look, and I hope that you found it helpful and maybe entertaining at the very least. If you do recreate the look, you can just tag me on Instagram at Faces by Lucy, and I'd love to see what you come up with. Thanks so much, and Happy New Year.